Settlers Ridge. Crazy cool view from here. Oh, I wish that place was open. P.F. Chang's. Love eating there. They serve that whatever that appetizer, the lettuce with the stuff that you put on it, kind of like a wrap, whatever. Oh, awesome, tasty. So yeah, one thing I hate about gloves is just, boy, I tell you what, you can't do the little helmet things with the frickin' gloves on. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, I was talking about my coworker Kathy. I don't know when the battery died, but I might have been in the middle of my rant. A couple of those soft core expletives that I was throwing around. You know, the fact that she was being mistreated, ill-treated at the hospital, and even by her PCP on the phone, was just telling her just stupid, almost advice, almost the kind of advice that would warrant a lawsuit. But of course, Kathy's gone, and Kathy was alone, and there's nobody that's going to file any kind of grievance with anybody at this point. She is gone. There's a fellow brother biker. I love the brotherhood, even though I do most of my riding alone. I do love the brotherhood. I can do without with the 1%ers. That's just bullshit, you know. Got too many people in the world to think they run it their way, or they want to run it their way. Anyway, that's my pony. I love her. Like I said this morning, she ain't a Harley. That's okay. I'm going to switch this out. I'm going to put one of those Daymakers, one of those smoked ones, and I'm going to have it look pretty cool when that's the only other mod I'm going to make to this bike. I put the rack on and the backrest and highway pegs, and that's about it. But I love my baby. She, like I said, she ain't a Harley, and she ain't exotic, but she's all mine, and I love her for it. I do love her for it. And I love the way she says, hello, let's go play. Let's go play. Ah, yes, where was I? I was talking about Kathy. And the ill treatment that she'd received at the hospital, and by her PCP, and you know, they were hands off at the hospital. They didn't give her a wheelchair. She's very obviously compromised, has compromised mobility. She walks with a cane. She's obese. What do you need? What do you need as a medical staff member in a hospital to move you to get somebody a wheelchair? Anyway, she was diagnosed with pneumonia. It's basically sent home after giving her a little bit of medication. I love that horse. Yes, I love that horse. I wish I could have that horse in my front yard. I can't, so I'm going to ride by and just take a good look at that pony. Look at that. I guess they're at all. Every single PF Chang's has one of those bad boys sitting out front. So I went to the memorial for Toby on Monday. Tuesday night, I'm talking to Kathy, getting all this bad news. This the sad news of her health and lacking empathy for by the medical personnel at her local hospital, and so you know, it was just not a happy call, and I told her, I don't know if I got to the part. I don't know if I got to the part about I told her, I said she needed to keep in constant contact with the people closest to her, people that loved her and wanted her best, and I hope I didn't get any of that glass on my freaking tire. But she said she would, and you know, I was glad to hear that. Kathy can be a little knuckleheaded, where, you know, she doesn't want to bother people. She knows she's you know, she knows she demands a lot of attention, so to speak, and so, you know, she obviously, I think all of us would feel the same way. Don't really want to put anybody out, and so you know, but she said she would, you know, and so I said okay. And then, you know, it was, I guess this is where I thought to look at the mirror to see if my thing was still rolling, and then that's when this is where I realized in the last clip that it wasn't, because you know, before I cut away from the call, I was gonna give her the old, hey, I'll pray for you, because I'm Joe Christian, right? And I'll admit it, I do that all too often, and you know, my prayers are you know, like white bread, you know, not real in depth, not real meaty, and it's just, I don't think I'm any different than anybody else. I think there are people who are naturally gifted, like what they call prayer warriors. I'm not. And so, you know, I was going to tell her, hey, Kathy, you know what? I just, you know, be good, keep in contact, I'll pray for you. And it's as if God stepped into the situation and with two hands just kind of pushed me and said, don't you do that. He said, I want you to pray for her right now. And so I said, okay. You know, I've had many friends do that for me on the phone. You know, yeah. You know, some people are just naturally gifted prayer warriors. I've got some, you know, my buddy Eddie, he calls me and prays for me a lot over the phone. You know, a good guy. Went to high school with him. And I'm thinking, you know, I had my son pray for me over the phone earlier this morning. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, he laid down the lead, so I will follow his lead and do the same for Kathy right now. And I asked her if that was good with her, and she said, yeah. So, you know, I entered into prayer for her over the phone. And she very graciously, you know, was present, was there as I was praying to God Most High over the telephone line. And the three of us were there. And I don't even recall what I said. That happens a lot with me, I think. Here it has happened in the past with me. But I prayed with her, and then I told her, I said, goodbye, you know, I'll talk to you later. And she said, okay, you know, she said, okay, she said, thanks. And so that was Wednesday night. That was Tuesday night, I'm sorry. And you know, I fully expected to get a text from her, you know, at some point over the next couple of days, because like I said, she had 3 other individuals that lived pretty close to her. A guy by the name of Ray that I used to work with as well. A guy by the name of John, a dear friend of hers that I never met, and another woman by the name of Annette, who was a very close friend of Kathy's. And I figured, you know, they're going to be the first to get contacted, and that's good. That's okay. You know, at some point she'll reach out, or I'll go back and reach out to her. But it was Wednesday morning when my employer called me, and he's a great guy, very generous. Actually, he's got dual citizenship. He's an Israeli, but he's got American citizenship, and he used to live here in the States. He raised his boys here, 3 boys here in the States, in Pittsburgh, but wanted to move them back to Israel so they could spend some time with his extended family, and his I think his parents are still living, I'm not sure, but he's got brothers, and he wanted his sons to know their family, and so he moved them all back to well, not back. They vacationed there often, but they never lived there, the boys anyway. His wife is Israeli, so she grew up in Israel. But anyway, so he called me from Israel just to chit-chat about things and to notify me about some upcoming needs at work. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's okay, that's fine. We talked at length, and then we cut away, and okay, I'll talk to, you know, I'll take care of business, whatever, don't worry about it. And we cut away, and, you know, I mean, he's a good guy, very respectful to me, and myself to him, but, you know, and so we went our separate ways, and then I went to the bathroom, and sure enough, as I'm sitting there anyway, my phone rings, and I'm thinking to myself, now what? Because he's kind of like that. He'll make a call, hang up, call you right back. I'm thinking to myself, okay, what does Oded want now? And so I went to my phone, and by the time I got to the phone, the call had dropped, and I went to see who it was, and it was a call from Ray, one of Kathy's friends. And Ray and I basically don't socialize. I mean, him and I and Kathy and my wife and 2 other people went out to dinner once a year and a half ago. Other than that, I hadn't seen Ray in 30-something years. And but he called me, and I texted him right back saying, what's up? You know, because I tried calling him back, and line was busy, or wouldn't. I don't know. Wouldn't pick up. Well, I can't remember the details. But anyway, I said, "What's up?" You know, and I kind of knew what's up. Like I said, for having lost a son of my own, and for having experienced what I just experienced with Becky 2 days before that, or 3 days before that, or the very day before that, or 2 days before that at the memorial service. It's just, you know what? So I called Ray back after I texted him, and he picked up on my second call. And I said, Ray, I said, are you calling for... And he said, yeah. He said, Kathy passed away last night. And I said, you have got to be kidding me. I spoke with her last night. She sounded fine. How in the world does that happen? And, you know, just the shock of it all just kind of, you know, it sets in, and you know, like they say, when you're receiving a diagnosis, a very troubling diagnosis at a hospital, you need to have somebody else there who's actually going to be the ears, because the person who's suffering the illness is in shock. And not that I was suffering any illness, but I was in shock. That just didn't make any sense. And so, you know, as he's telling me some of the details, I'm hearing, but I'm really not. I'm listening, but I'm not hearing, or I'm hearing, but I'm not listening. You know, I'm just not picking up on what the hell's being told to me. And so but it was just a shock. Like, what happened? It hadn't even been 12 hours. She was fine, you know, and oh my God. And then immediately I get a text from my Israeli employer who's in Israel, and he says, I just got news that Kathy passed away last night. And I returned a message saying, yes, I just heard, Ray just called me, and you know, and just unbelievable. And so, I mean, it's just beyond. It's beyond comprehension. You know, I've got other losses that in some ways mimic this. Kind of like where I was blessed with a final visit type thing. You know what I mean? And then boom, they're gone. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I just saw Lee yesterday. How could he have departed in the night? He looked fine. Or my mother-in-law, who kind of exited very quickly as well, after telling me she'd come down with cancer. I don't even recall what kind, because it wasn't a long battle. But she'd been admitted to Shadyside Hospital, and in the course of her being there, my wife was actually down in Florida. She was as close to her mother as you could get to anybody. And they used to speak